Greetings comic book fans and welcome to the Dude Cave. I'm Jason and you are watching my weekly comic book reviews for the second week of May 2016. Quite a few books to get through this week, so without further ado, let's get into those reviews. So we'll kick things off as always with a rapid fire roundup. What this part of the video is the books that didn't make my comic of the week. These are the books that I'm going to review here. It's not going to be a full review. What I'm basically going to do is try and give my things I liked, things I didn't like about the book, and give it a score out of 5 stars, and do all of that within 30 seconds a minute. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's quicker for each book, but we'll see. We've got, like I said, we've got 11 books. Let's see how quick we can do these. So kicking things off, it is Batman issue number 52 from DC Comics. Going into this book, I wasn't really excited. I felt that the last issue was a perfect ending to the series, and other than the fact that they want, because of the new 52, they want it to have 52 issues. Other than that, there was no real reason to do this, because I felt that was a perfect conclusion. However, I ended up really enjoying this. Riley Rossmo on art is awesome. I've always enjoyed his art. I liked him in, I think it was Bedlam he did, and then I can't remember if it was Gotham by Midnight or if it was Constantine he drew, but I know I've always enjoyed Riley Rossmo's art, and after seeing his art here, I would love to see him draw a Batman book, because it was brilliant. The writing as well by James Tynion IV was really good. We get this story spanning Bruce Wayne's life and about how he dealt with his grief as a child and how that kind of pays forward into the present. So it was a really good story. There's this book that goes through that he carries around with him throughout the story, and at times that was got to be a bit ludicrous, cause like he's jumping off a plane at a really high altitude, he might not survive, and he's got the book in his hand. I'm like, come on, you'd have it in a bag or something. Show him putting the book in a bag and fastening that bag to him, but having him hold it as he jumps out the plane, I thought was ridiculous. And there's a scene where he's trained to be a ninja and he's got the book, and it's kind of like, I felt there were some better ways they could have done that in hindsight, but hindsight's always 2020. However, I did find myself really enjoying this book, so I'm going to give Batman issue number 52 4 stars out of 5. So moving over to IDW now, a book that came out 2 weeks ago, I think. It is the X-Files issue number 1. This was a $4.99 book, which it seems to be becoming a thing now, as not just Marvel are doing them now. You've got DC, you've got IDW, you know, and the thing that gets me, these companies, they kind of criticize Marvel for how Marvel do their comics, with the amount of issues that come out and with the pricing, and now all the other companies are following suit, so it's like, but anywho, getting into the book itself, I enjoyed this. It starts off as a regular investigation, a mass shooting in a shopping mall, all too regular occurrence in America, but the modern Scully can't really understand why they're there. There doesn't seem to be any kind of supernatural or alien kind of angle to it, it's just a shooting. And then we kind of get the gist of something strange is going on. I like the mystery, however, my one complaint with the mystery would be that we don't get no clues into, is this something supernatural, is this something alien? We don't get any definitive clues, and I don't expect answers in the first issue, but it would have been nice to have got some more clues to that. I thought Mulder and Scully were written really well here. I love the whole investigation angle to the story. That was really interesting. Yeah, I ended up really enjoying this, and I'm going to give X-Files issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So moving right along now to Marvel, and we have All New, All Different Avengers, which introduces the All New, All Different Wasp. Yeah, a mouthful, I know. I like the origin of this character, the Wasp, and like how they kind of sync her into the Marvel Universe, so I thought that was really good. We have something going on with Vision here, I left over from the whole Kang thing, where Kang took over Vision, which I'm kind of a bit, I didn't quite understand what was going on there, but I don't know if you're supposed to. I really like how Wade writes these characters, and the interactions between the characters is good, and I like at the end with the double epilogue, it kind of felt like it was like a Marvel Studios movie where they have the 2 bits after the credits. I like the whole thing with Jarvis kind of taking Wasp under his wing, and you know, I like that this book concentrated quite a bit on Jarvis, because he's got a lot of history with the Avengers, so it's always nice to see him pop up and get some time. Also, I really liked how this synced up with the Nova book, and how that seems to be something that's going to go between the 2 books, which is cool. and for us Nova readers, it's really nice that that's addressed in here as well. So that was cool. So. And we got to see that same scene from a different angle. We got to see that scene where Nova's from Iron Man's angle as Nova's contacting him. So I thought, all in all, I really enjoyed this. I'm really enjoying what Wade's doing with the book. It has a kind of, for me, a classic Avengers kind of tone, and I'm loving it right now. And I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. We then have Black Panther issue number 2, and I really like the fact that this isn't your regular superhero book. I like that they're trying to do something a little bit different, and it's more kind of a political book than just your average superhero book. I'm still working my way around all the characters, and I don't know all the names yet. However, they do a cool thing in the front of the book as we get all our main characters named, which is a great help as I'm still kind of learning who's who. The bulk of the story I really enjoyed. There's one sequence near the end with Black Panther when he goes after this woman, where is she? Zendi. When he goes after Zenzi, that scene I didn't quite fully understand everything. I had to go and reread it. But other than that one scene, the rest of the book I really enjoyed. I'm liking the whole political kind of angle to the book. And the fact that it's not your typical superhero book, and you know, Black Panther, he is like an old school kind of king in that he rules the country, makes decisions how the country is run, and I'm kind of really enjoying seeing a book from that kind of angle of him, this country that's kind of on the brink of kind of some kind of uproar. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I like that it's different, even though that one bit did lose me. So I'm going to give Black Panther issue number 2 4 stars out of 5. We then have Deadpool issue number 11, which I absolutely loved. This concludes the current story arc where Deadpool thinks that Sabretooth killed his parents, but in fact it was Deadpool who killed his own parents, but then the memory was wiped from his mind by the butler. Sabretooth was present at the time, and that's why he can remember Sabretooth. Sabretooth is now a good guy, so that Deadpool doesn't have to live with the fact that he killed his own parents. Sabretooth has kind of took the blame. And he thought after a big fight last issue that they'd kind of reached a point where Deadpool was like, yeah, okay. But no, Deadpool double-crossed him and has tied him to 2 lorries and he's going to rip him in half. And he's got some Terrigen Mist so that Sabretooth's mutant ability, his mutant healing factor, will no longer be a factor. So this issue kind of kicks off where we left it, and I really enjoyed seeing Deadpool's journey this issue, and I like the issues that get kind of more into the, like, Deadpool is this kind of, most issues he's doing these hijinks and crazy stuff, but I like the issues and the stories where Deadpool is kind of dealing with his past, and he's this like laughing clown, but underneath it all he's struggling to deal and come to terms with what happened in his past and to kind of become a better person going forward. And I kind of like those issues where he struggles with that, and this was one of those issues, and I thought was really, really good. We get cameos from Doctor Strange and Magneto, which was cool. I like how the whole thing with Sabretooth comes to a close, and I loved how we see him respond to that and deal with that. I thought it was really cool as well, because it shows the progress that the character has made. The art is really good. And this was just a really good issue, and I'm going to give Deadpool issue number 11 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have a book that came out, I think it was last week. It is Gwenpool issue number 0. I went into this book thinking that it was going to be kind of like a bit more of Gwen's backstory, how she ended up in a comic book. I thought we were going to maybe get some of that. Or at the very least, her first few days in the Marvel Universe. Unfortunately, what this is, and I say fortunately, it's not that bad, but it seems to be the reprinted first appearances of Gwenpool. So you've got like this Howard the Duck story, and it seems like, it does seem, and I might be wrong, it might just be written in that style, but it does seem like this is like reprinted appearances from other books. So that, like, if you're the completist now, you get, you'll be able to have all the Gwenpool books in kind of like Gwenpool comics. Which in that regard it's really good, but in regard of like what I was expecting, it doesn't work. I did enjoy the stories here. There was a lot of humour. I thought Howard the Duck and Gwenpool went together really well, and it definitely made me kind of curious to kind of check out the Howard the Duck comic, because he seemed quite an interesting character. But And while I enjoyed it, it just was not what I was expecting. And I'm going to give Gwenpool issue 0 3 stars out of 5. Next up we have Gwenpool issue number 2. Last issue we had Gwenpool kind of treating everything as a joke, and then Moldark killed her friend Cedric, who had been helping her, and suddenly she realised that there's consequences to her actions, and it kind of brings home to her that, yeah, this is a comic book I'm in now, but I can still die, and the people around me can still die, and there are cause and there's an effect. And so this issue, I was looking forward to seeing how she deals with that, and a little bit at the beginning she's a bit traumatised. It's always interesting because she knows the history of these characters and knows things about these characters that nobody else knows because she's read the comics. So I like that angle, and that makes the book really interesting, and there's a really interesting moment in a backward 4 that was just like, whoa. So that was really cool. I like the cast they're putting together in here. They're an interesting kind of oddball kind of cast, which is really cool. I also really like what's going on with her and Balrog, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to roll out next issue. Although this was fun and this was good, I'd have a slight gripe that she's still kind of killing people with disregard, that there's no kind of like, okay, yeah, this is a bad person, we're going to kill him, but like, you'd have thought with what happened to Cedric, she'd be a little bit more gun shy than she is this issue. But anyway, that's a minor gripe. I am enjoying this. I think there's some interesting places they can go. I don't know long term if it's got legs or if the jokes are going to run out, but certainly for the short term this should be a lot of fun, and I give the Unbelievable Gwenpool issue number 2 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Star Wars Darth Vader issue number 20. Love that cover. If I was doing a cover of the week, that would have been my cover of the week, so I really love that cover. So it was announced this week that, or last week, whichever way you want to look at it, it was announced that this book's going to finish in 5 issues time at number 25. So this looks like it's going to be the final arc of the series. So this issue, Darth Vader returns to Coruscant to see the Emperor, and the Emperor lays out what's been going on, what's his plan been all along. I really like that. That really worked for me. Vader then meets up with Inspector Tanoff, which I did not like that scene. While I liked some of the interaction between Vader and Tanoff, the end of that scene I just did not like. I thought it was, with all how much that character has kind of been built, I thought it was a very poor payoff for what we've been seeing. We get to see the Executor for the first time, the big Star Destroyer that we see Vader have in Empire. So we get to see that for the first time. That was really cool. I like the last couple of issues. I've kind of not been enjoying the 2 droids as much, BT and 000. I've not been enjoying them too much. However, this issue, I really liked what they did with them, and I thought they were really entertaining. I like how their relationship and the way they interact kind of plays off the relationship that C-3PO and R2-D2 have, except these 2 droids are kind of like the evil versions of C-3PO and R2-D2, and I thought this issue they were used really well and they were very entertaining and I enjoyed them. I love the fact that we don't get no inner monologues from Vader, and we have, because that's the kind of character Vader should be. There should be mystery there to how he's dealing with this and what he's thinking. So I like how that's written. But I think there was enough going on here where you still felt engaged. I usually don't like backups in $4.99 books, but because it was so well done, I really enjoyed it here. Yeah, this was good. It wasn't flawless, but it was still a very good issue and a great way to kick off the final arc of the book. I give Star Wars Darth Vader issue number 20 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have the Ultimates issue number 7. This was brilliant. It was super cool to see Kenneth Rockford back on the book on art. No disrespect to the artist who was on this last time, but Rockford just is such a beautiful artist. And occasionally I know some people criticise because he doesn't have backgrounds all the time. But the scenes where he does that are kind of where he wants that main character to stand out more, so there's no distraction. And some could say, yeah, it's laziness because he's not putting in the detail. But it works. When he uses it, it works. Again, I love the interactions with these characters. Black Panther kind of was pretty extreme with this. Oh God, I forget the character's name. Anti-Man, wasn't it? Connor Sims, the Anti-Man. He kind of like what he wants to do to this guy, and how he's been, and so it leads to a little bit of conflict between him and Blue Marvel, which I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. We get a lot of Captain Marvel here, which I enjoy. I always enjoy seeing her character, but I loved what was going on here with the whole Cosmic Q stuff and Project Pegasus. That was all really good. The end with Thanos turning up was fantastic, and I really enjoyed that. So all in all, I felt this whole book was just a great fun. Yeah, it does feel like it's building up kind of Civil War 2 and building up future stories in this book. And in that regard, I think it probably isn't as awesome as previous issues, but it still does a good job. It's the first issue of the new arc, and it kicks things off beautifully. Also, always in the back, you always have this additional reading that they put in the back, which I really enjoy. I think that's really a nice kind of thing if you've enjoyed the comic, and maybe there's a couple of themes that they've struck on that you want to read further, that they give you the comics you can go and check out on Marvel Unlimited. So I think that's a really nice touch to the book. And yeah, this continues to be one of my favourite series coming out of Marvel, and I give the Ultimates issue number 7 4 stars out of 5. So moving away from Marvel now, we move to Titan Comics, and we have Doctor Who, the 12th Doctor Adventures Year 2 issue number 5. That title is a mouthful. This issue is a kind of a one and done story, and is a clever story that I really enjoyed. Basically, the gist of it is people are getting trapped in comics. That the characters from the TV show called the Boneless, who come from a two-dimensional universe, are using comics to trap people in their universe. And so people are disappearing into the comics. So like the comic starts out with this kind of scene where the Doctor appears, he's talking to you, telling you to not read this comic, that it is dangerous, do not turn to that page. And then of course you turn the page and there's the Boneless coming out to get you. And then kind of we see the character who has got trapped in the comic here. It was really good. It felt like authentic, like New Who, because like that's something they often do in Doctor Who, where like something kind of mundane and ordinary, and then they turn that into something sinister. I really loved the whole idea of people getting trapped in comics. I thought it was a great way to use the Boneless as well. A really fun one and done story that was very engaging, very interesting, and I loved the way that they beat the Boneless as well. And I just thought it was a great celebration of loving comics and as putting it in a really interesting and unique way, and I thought this was fantastic stuff. It's a one and done story, so if you've not been reading these Doctor Who books, it's one that you could check out without having to have read anything else. But yeah, I give this issue of Doctor Who, 12th Doctor Adventures Year 2, 5 stars out of 5. Brilliant stuff. And finally, we have Exo 4001 AD, Exo Man of War issue number 1. This is a tie into the current event that's going on with Valiant. This issue kind of fills in what that armor was we saw last issue, the Exo Man of War armor, and how that came to be. And I liked the story in that, in what happens, and it makes sense. However, I didn't find myself very engaged with it. It didn't really give any kind of revelations that might tie into the main book and be interesting going forward. So yeah, I kind of, it felt like more an unnecessary cash-in rather than something that kind of really pads out the story and really adds extra depth and extra layer to the story. It just felt like something that was there to kind of cash in on it, which and while the story is inoffensive and in the main it's good, I didn't find any of the characters really engaged me and really made me care what happened to them, made me feel for them. So yeah, I'd give this one, because I don't think it was a bad book, I just don't think it was a necessary book. So I'd give this one 3 stars out of 5. So those are the rapid fire roundup books. And next up we find out which 5 comics made my books of the week. Well, here we are at the end of the video with my comics of the week. 5 books, again, as always. Usually I only kind of, if I read a book from a previous week, I don't kind of include it as ineligible for comic of the week. But this week I read 2 books from last week that I just absolutely loved, and I had to put them in the comic of the week. So for the first time ever, I've got a couple of books in the comic of the week that aren't from this week. So we're going to kick things off from Image. We have Renato Jones, The 1%, issue number 1. Written, drawn, coloured by Kyle Andrews. He did the same kind of thing with Iron Fist, The Living Weapon. And I'm fascinated by a comic that is just a unified vision. You know, no matter how good of a communicator you are, it's all you people are going to interpret things in their way. And so it's just really interesting to me to see a book that is just a unified vision of what they want it to be. And there's positives and strengths and weaknesses, sorry, to like being a collaborative effort or doing it by yourself. You know, there's strength, you know, think good things and bad things about that, but it's still, I find, a very interesting kind of thing to see. This book, I really enjoyed that as well, which is just a bonus. The story initially, when you start reading it, you kind of feel, is this going to be a rip-off of Batman? And kind of like an indie version of Batman. But no, we get a little bit of a twist, so that it isn't like exactly like Batman. It kind of starts off going that way, but then there's twists to the story that we get as the story goes on. Initially, the story is a bit disorientating because we're jumping around like the modern present day and the past, and at first it can be a bit disorientating, but you stick with it and everything kind of levels out as you kind of start putting things in place and what's going on here. Everything kind of levels out. I love the present day stuff with, you know, this character. They call him the freelancer because they can't find it, that he's been hired by anybody to kill these people, so they call him the freelancer. And he's going around killing the 1%, the rich and the influential, who have all the money, all the power, and just basically abuse it. And he's kind of going around killing them off, and we get the whole backstory, so we know why he's doing this. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good book. I thought it was really cleverly done. I like how he traps the rich guy. I thought that was really clever. The rich guy was really a repulsive human being, so you wasn't that sad when he gets killed. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought for a first issue, I thought this was really good, and I'm definitely excited for the series. I'm definitely on board with this. And I'm going to give Renato Jones the 1%. Issue number 1 is one of my comics of the week. He would have got 5 out of 5 for sure. Next up, another book from last week. We have the Scarlet Witch, issue number 6, I think it was. Yeah, issue number 6. Written by James Robertson with art by Margaret Sauvage. Now, I don't know how you pronounce her name, if it's Sauvage or Savage. But it looks like Sauvage, so I'm going to say it like that. So this issue, a really, really interesting story. Scarlet Witch basically can't use her powers too often, because every time she uses her hex powers, it causes her to age. So she's trying not to use them too much. So this story, she ends up in Paris, and the hero of Paris is the Peregrine, or I'm trying to give you his French name, but I need to see it in writing before I can say it. You can never find what you want when you want it. Le Falcon Peregrine. I think how you pronounce it. Falcon Peregrine. So yeah. So where was I? So yeah, so his name's the Peregrine, or La Peregrine Falcon, in French. I don't know if that was a good French accent or not, but so basically what's happened is his wife died during the Paris attacks. Now, she didn't die in the shooting, but in the aftermath of people trying to get away and stuff, she crashed her car. And he was flying around Paris, kind of rescuing people, and he feels guilty that the most precious person in his life he wasn't able to save. And now he can't fly. He's still got his wings, they work, everything physically still works, but he just can't fly anymore. And I can kind of get the metaphor they're going for here, with the whole thing of you lose that special person in your life, and you lose your like powers, because like you feel you've lost a part of you. So I could totally get that. I don't know if it means I'm getting sappy in my old age, or if it just was kind of a story that really resonated with me, but I really got that, and I thought that was a really clever and cool idea. So Scarlet Witch tries to help him by getting him to speak to his wife, now alive in the afterlife. However, that goes pear-shaped. When now Peregrine sees that there's an afterlife and he can be with his wife again, he tries to commit suicide. So then you kind of got the grist. How's Scarlet Witch going to be able to help this guy who clearly wants to kill himself? And you know, how is this going to resolve itself in an happy way? I really enjoyed the story. Thought it was a very unique and different kind of superhero book. I thought James Robertson gets the story pitch perfect. The art by Marguerite Sauvage is just fantastic. All around, this was just a tour de force. Absolutely loved it. And Scarlet Witch issue number 6, one of my comics of the week. So next up, 3 books now from this week in my comics of the week. We have A&A, The Adventures of Archer and Armstrong. This continues the story from the first few issues, where Armstrong went into this bag. He's got this bag like a satchel, and inside is bigger than the outside. So he's gone inside the bag to find this bottle of booze because a former friend has died, and he wants to drink this bottle of booze that they stole together, to kind of commemorate, because he kind of got regrets how that whole situation ended. So, but in going in there, he's got captured by this creature called Brackus. Archer is going after him, as well as Archer's stepsister, and they're kind of currently trying to fight their way out, while Brackus, realizing the satchel is now open, is trying to escape back into the world. This issue was fun, great fun, but I like there's a serious stroke to it. It kind of reminds me of like Daredevil, a bit more of a funnier version than Daredevil, under Mark Waid and Chris Samney, in that there'd be a fun tone to the book, but at the same time there'd be bad things that Matt would be dealing with, and it's kind of the same here. You have Archer and Armstrong is kind of being very self-reflective, and he's kind of like, yeah, I've done things I regret about my life, I've been selfish, I've been mean, and he's kind of dealing with all this while at the same time they're trying to escape all these monsters that he's put in this satchel. So it's really entertaining, really fun, but there's like a tone to the book as well that you kind of they draw you in with the funny and make you feel for the characters. So I think it was Alfred Hitchcock who said the quickest way to make you care about a character is to laugh with that character. And that's what they do here. You kind of laugh with these characters, you instantly begin to care about them, and so like when the serious stuff happens, you care. And also like the twist with Brackus, he's a party god, and so like he's now out in the world, and he's going to turn the world into just one giant party, which I thought was really cool. And the more booze he drinks and the more party there is, the bigger and stronger he gets. So now Archer and Armstrong, and Archer's stepsister, whose name I keep forgetting. I know it's 2 names and both begin with M. Mary Maria, that's her name. Mary Maria, they've got to get their way out of the satchel and try and stop Brackus. This book was just a lot of fun, really enjoyed it, and yeah, Archer and Armstrong, number 3, one of my comics of the week. So next up we have all new X-Men issue number 9. This was a $4.99 book, but what I liked about this was that it was all the main story. There's no backup in here, which was cool. If I'm going to pay $4.99, I want it to be one full story. Kid Apocalypse hasn't been a character I've ever really cared that much about, but they do a fantastic job here in making you care about him, about his daily struggle, and kind of explain why he is how he is. So I like that. It made you really empathize with the character. At the same time, we've got Beast trying to find a way to get the X-Men back to the past. And so you've got these 2 stories running concurrently, and then they link up at the end, which is fantastic. And what I like about these 3 Apocalypse War stories is that one's set in the future, one's in the present, and this one looks like it's going to be set in the past. So I like that whole kind of, they're in different time zones, kind of dealing with this character that kind of links the stories together. I really enjoyed this. The reveal at the end I could kind of see coming, but I still really liked it when it arrived. There's drama here, there's shocks, there's fun, and there's real emotion in this book, and I really enjoyed it. So I give all new X-Men issue number 6 one of my comics of the week. I keep going to say I give the book so many stars, but then I realise I'm in the comics of the week. Usually all the comics in the comics of the week are 5-star books, so there's no point in saying this book gets 5, because I'd be saying that for each one, but my mind still goes to that, so I will get better at that. So our final book of the week, this week, it is Vision, issue number 7. If I was still doing my pick of the week, this would have been pick of the week. This was awesome. I saved this book to last. How I usually organise my books, I have a couple of books that I'm really looking forward to at the beginning, then the books that are in the middle, and then I save a couple of books I'm really looking forward to finish it off, because I like the week to finish on a strong point, because I used to, the books I was looking forward to I'd read first, but then I kind of, when I got to the latter books, sometimes they would be disappointing, and I kind of end my comic book reading week a bit disappointed. So I kind of like to stay positive now. I save a book to the end, and this was the one I saved to the end of this week. Whew, boy, what a book. The story kind of is basically, it goes through the Vision and Scarlet Witch's relationship from the beginning to the end, and kind of shows how their relationship kind of falls down, and gives a great kind of overview if you hadn't followed, or because I didn't understand why they weren't still together, because the last time I kind of read them they were a couple, and now they weren't. And I know Scarlet Witch killed Vision in or took him over, I think. I can't remember if she killed him or took him over and made him fight the Avengers. But no, yeah, that was it. She-Hulk killed him, didn't she? She ripped him apart. But yeah, and he was angry at Scarlet Witch for that. So I thought that was why they were no longer together. But what we get here is a really great overview of their relationship and the ups and the downs, and why they eventually split and went their own ways. And I really like that. And then the end of the book kind of brings something that happens, kind of brings it round to this series, and kind of you get an overview of maybe why things have been going wrong for Vision and his family. So I loved that. I loved the whole issue. Was a great journey. The end of it was just brilliant, and yeah, this was just all round superb. The art, the writing, everything about this book was awesome. If you're not reading this book, take your hand, slap your face, then go on the internet and try and see when the trade's coming out of the first 6 issues, because this has been bloody brilliant and deserves to be read by everybody who's reading comics, because it's just really great stuff. So yeah, Vision issue number 7 undoubtedly is one of my comics of the week. So there we go. Those are my books of the comics of the week. I will be back, as Arnie Schwarzenegger once said. I'll be back next end of this week with my comic haul video, comic haul weekly, and another set of reviews will be back at the beginning of next week. It's a big week this week. I've got 20 books coming out this week. Plus there's 3 that my comic shop didn't get in this last week, so that they will, because that's 23 books I'm expecting to pick up. So that's going to be a pretty big week. So yeah, you might want to get your guys' cool beverage ready for next week, because it could be a long one. But anywho, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give me the beautiful thumbs up so I know you're enjoying what I'm doing. As I said, I will be back end of this week with a whole review video, back again next week. All that leaves me to say is that I've been Jason, coming to you from the Dude Cave with my weekly comic reviews. Keep reading, and bye for now.